Hey guys, Synthetic here, and welcome back to the series where we try to make Ricciardo world champion despite starting every race from the back of the grid. And this time we are in Japan, and here you can see the qualifying results, but as always they are so important. And again, we have a wet race ahead of us, and it seems to be a full wet. So yeah, quite interesting. I think the AI here is really strong, so yeah, we have to push a slight bit more compared to the last races. So yeah, here we are for the grid. 5 red lights and lights out, and away we go. We have to be very cautious on the throttle in order not to have to be too much wheel spin, but it seems that it didn't really work, so we're just trying to be very cautious into turn 1, and we have to take evasive action because there were quite a few people braking really hard, and I was caught off by that quite a bit. So yeah, we just were able to make one position stick, which is already an improvement. I think overtaking here might be really tricky because the understeer due to the dirty air is really strong around here, and I also didn't have the confidence in terms of setup. I think I used not enough front wings. I had a bit of understeer, which wasn't ideal. But at this point we were behind Van Dorn, and we decided to go for the move, and we were able to take Stroll and the hairpin as well. Although we couldn't make the move stick completely, but we had, as always, really good traction out of the corner, and it was tricky to stay on the throttle in this part. I had a bit of oversteer there. So next up was Kevin Magnussen, and you can see a few cars were battling quite a bit. So yeah, we have to find a way through, because otherwise we just lose too much time compared to the leaders, which is not ideal at this point of the season. So we tried to go around the outside, but it isn't really working. The dirty air is just pushing us off the racing line, and here as well it was really painful, and we also got a bit of oversteer at this point. So yeah, we were really cautious at the start, and I also wasn't sure whether we could take 130 air yeah, with maximum throttle. So we lifted a bit, which cost us time in the first few laps, but it seems that we get quite a solid launch out of the last few corners, and we are now really close to Kevin, and we might think about a move down the inside on the straights, which can be tricky because you want to take the ideal line through turn 1, and it seems that a few cars missed their braking or their lines, and they were braking really hard into the first few corners, and it put me off. I couldn't really avoid that, because if I would slam onto the brakes at this part of the track, I couldn't handle the car anymore. So unfortunately there was a lot of contact, but I don't think any car has damage. Unfortunately we don't have any kind of damage as well, so we were able to continue. Very close to Palmer now. It was kind of a slow start to the Grand Prix. We are already in lap 4, and we're just in P14, which is not ideal. But we are now really close. I think he defends the inside, and we are just trying to go for a cutback line. He again went really wide, and yeah, we were able to make the position stick as well. Next up was Alonso in the McLaren, and we know his weaknesses quite well, so you can see we are gaining a lot of time on the straights. It's quite insane. We just fly past him, and we're able at this point to take 130R, yeah, with maximum speed. And at this point we are in P12 with a slight gap to Carlos, and now we can compare our pace to the pace of the leaders. I don't think we were as fast as the top guys at this point of the race, because we still had not the ideal feeling in these conditions, because the understeer was problematic in a few corners. So Fortunately, we were able to gain another position when we dived down the inside of Sainz. Next up ahead was Grosjean, and he went defensive as well, so we tried a similar move. We tried early on in Renault. Again, for the inside, we are hugging the apex, which is really important if you try that kind of move. And up into the points now. Ahead was Massa, who should also struggle quite a bit in these conditions with this car. So let's see whether we are able to close him in this part of the track. It might be really difficult. You can see, despite our downforce setup and the Red Bull also has a lot of downforce, we aren't really gaining anything, which is good. It makes racing really tricky, and I think that's ideal. But now it's not really helping us, and we might think about a move down the inside. We are just lifting a slight bit in order not to have a locked wheel, so we had a lot of traction out of the corner, and we were able at the end to make the position stick as well up into P9 now. Next was Nico, and we just got him in the same part of the track, and now you can see there were a few cars battling ahead, so yeah, we might capitalize on that. And at this point I wasn't really sure what to think about strategy. I think we opted to go for the one stop, which should be the fastest strategy around here. But I think the leaders are trying to do a two-stop as we dive up on the inside of Sergio, and we left him the space in the second part of the corner. But if they are doing a two-stop, we might have a slight chance in order to get a good result. And here you can see they are really fighting, and a few ran off the track, and I think Ocon was blocked a bit, so we try to capitalize on that, and we just take the outside line around one of the first few corners, and at the end it was P6, and next up ahead was Bottas, and you can just see how much understeer we got. He's just gaining really a lot of time. I thought at this point maybe change the front wing to 5 or 6, but I think if I would do that, I might have too much oversteer, and yeah, this is a bigger problem than to have understeer in my opinion. So you can see it seems we are really strong into the hairpin and out of the hairpin, so we really gain a lot of time there, and we are close enough to make a move, but unfortunately we just are drifting off the track due to dirty air. And now at this point in 130R we are really close, and I didn't thought a dive bomb would work, but fortunately you can see I think Bottas locked up and lost the control over his car, so we were able just to stick it on the inside and make the position stick. And another important point of the race is you can see now I think Sebastian just left the pits now for his first scheduled pit stop. And at this point I thought maybe if I stayed out a lot longer and block him a slight bit, a few cars behind him might be able to catch him. And at this point we got more comfortable with the conditions. Our lap times got faster and faster, and now we'll see that I think Lewis had a really quick lap, and we did a slight mistake on out of the last few corners. And at this point Vettel was really close to us, and we had to push really hard, and you can see we went green in the last lap of our stint, so we decided to pit and get a new set of tires. And at this point it's really crucial to gain as much time as possible, because the pace of Sebastian and the other cars is really quick, so we have to get a good undercut here. You can see that Raikkonen just ahead was able to get back past again, and at this point it was just about pushing, because if Vettel did the overcut, there was no possible way we can just end up ahead of him, and now you can see that this was my first flying lap. We really pushed a lot over the lap, and I think Raikkonen was also really quick. He set the fastest lap, but now we set the fastest lap, which is ideal because it seems that we are gaining time now on Sebastian, and we were quicker in the lap after that. And at this point we just had to get past Kimi because he would slow us down quite a bit, and it seems that he did the same mistake Valtteri did earlier, so we fortunately were able to get the position as well, and now we had to push like crazy because I think this was the lap the leaders went into the pits, and you can see Sebastian was just behind us out of the pits, and if we did one single mistake or major mistake, he would overtake us, and I don't think I would be able to catch him because the AI here is really strong. And at this point he was gaining quite a bit on me. I think he was, probably 2/10 quicker a lap, and at this point I thought if I can put these back markers between myself and him, it would be ideal, and we went really aggressive onto the inside. And you can see that Sebastian lost a lot of time behind them, and now it was our part to push as much as possible in order to get a gap to him. And you can see I think the gap was just about 2 seconds, and yeah, now we really had to put the foot down, and you can see Lewis was able to set the fastest lap so far, which was I think 4/10 quicker, so we really have to fight back now. And I think we did that in the laps after that. We were able to improve our lap time by quite a bit, but unfortunately Sebastian got faster and faster every lap. He was really quick at this point, and so we also had to push more and more, and you can see we were able to get a green lap as well at this point. And now I will leave you with my fastest lap of the race, which is also the last lap of the Grand Prix, and I will talk to you at the end of the lap. And here we are at the end of the lap. We were able to defend our position against Seb. He wasn't really able to gain enough time on the straights. So at the end Lewis was able to win the race quite comfortably, and we got P2 at the end, which is also a really good result. It allows us to extend our lead compared to the other guys. So yeah, Sebastian in P3, so he doesn't lose too much points. The gap is now 31 points, which is not too bad. And I think in terms of constructors, it's not looking ideal at this point. We'll see that in just a second. Yeah, we are 53 points behind, which is not ideal, but still a long way to go. I hope you guys enjoyed the race, and hope to see you in the next one as well. Goodbye.